Hello everyone, thanks for joining us today and welcome to this educational presentation of a strategy I've been trading for 40 years. Now I'd like to start off the presentation by having you take a look at this chart right here. Okay, this is NTAP, NTAP. Now most people looking at this would say, well, I'm not going to really do anything, and because looks like there's some type of resistance, and so I'm not going to actually buy or sell. I'm kind of stay on the sidelines here and wait and see if it breaks out in one direction. Well, that's the way most people trade because they're pretty much just reacting. But with the method I'm going to be sharing with you today, you're going to see how simple it is to actually find out what the market wants to do many times in advance of a move. For example, the strategy that I've been trading for over 4 decades now actually would have generated a buy signal right here at the end of that sideways move, and potentially you could have captured upwards of 10 points in the next 3 weeks. So a lot of students are constantly asking me, well, Steve, how do you trade? In fact, when I first started teaching roughly about 2 decades ago, I actually would have conferences and meeting with people in my office and show students how I actually traded. And the funny thing is that most of them had a very difficult time in understanding exactly what the process is. So I'm going to be sharing with you today how simple it is to get in tune with this process, how we've made it extremely simple by applying our new PTS Primo charts. This is the platform that I've developed with Pro Trader Strategies, and we feel that it is finally the trading educational portal you've been searching for. You're going to see how simple it is to apply this process to your own trading. So this promises to be a great webinar today. Thanks for joining us. Once again, my name is Stephen Primo. I am the president and founder of Specialist Trading. If you're new to my webinars, we are first and foremost an educational company. That is our sole purpose, simply to educate you as traders so that ultimately you can take your own trading to the next level. If there's one thing I've learned in my 4 decades of trading, it's that the reason why most traders fail is because basically you're giving your power away. You're relying on someone or something else to tell you where to buy, where to sell, what you should be trading, what time frame. And that basically is you're telling the markets, I don't know what to do, so I'll rely on some guy in a chat room or somebody on TV to tell me what to do. So what we've learned is that most traders fail because of that. So what we provide you with are the tools, tips, and techniques that have stood the test of time so that you can be in charge of your own trading. Now, I've been trading for 40 years now. I started my career on the floor of the Pacific Stock Exchange. I was on the floor for 16 years, and 9 of those years I was a specialist. That's where we get the name specialist trading. Now, if you're not familiar with what a specialist is, it doesn't mean you're more special than anyone else. It just simply means that you made a market in roughly about 50 or 60 stocks. So if you, as your broker, if you wanted to buy or sell a particular stock, you had to go to the trader who specialized, who made markets in those stocks. So I did that for 9 years. I was a specialist during the crash of 1987 and the bull market that followed. So I've seen everything, every system, every strategy you can think of. I've traded it. I've been involved in every market environment you can think of, straight up, straight down, sideways markets, crashes. So I know what works in terms of consistency and I know what doesn't. So wouldn't you rather learn from someone who's seen and experienced it, just about everything you can imagine, and will put you on the right track so that you don't have to waste time, energy, and most especially money in order to become a consistent trader. This is our goal, our sole purpose as specialist trading, to educate you as traders so that you can make your own decisions. So I'm going to share with you a lot of different slides today, a lot of different examples so that you can be in charge of your own trading. But before we begin, we are first required by law to show you this. So please take a moment to view our disclaimer. Please remember that I'm going to show you a lot of performance results, but we can in no way guarantee that any of the results I'm about to share with you will be repeated in the future. Remember, all examples are for educational purposes only. So, excuse me. So as you're taking a brief moment to view our disclaimer, I would also like to take this time to invite you, if you haven't done so already, to follow us on Twitter. There's our handle right there if you'd like to copy it down. Every day I post different information, anywhere from little bits of trading wisdom to actual signals that our strategies have generated. So lots of great free information, and feel free to follow us on Twitter. Now, as you can see, my goal is not to force feed you signals like so many other so-called educators do. My goal is not to tell you what the perfect time frame is or the perfect market that you should be trading. I don't believe in that. That's up to you to decide. My goal is simply to provide you with sound fundamental education that has stood the test of time, then work with you so that you feel comfortable applying it to your own market, whatever time frame, whatever hours you like to trade. That's what we're doing here. So as you can see, my goal is not to trade for you. A good mentor does not trade for you. He teaches you how to trade. So that's what my goal is, to teach you how to trade with the same specialist edge that turned my trading around and has sustained me for 40 years, and hopefully it will be able to do the same for you. Now, I have a lot of slides to show you, a lot of ways to get you on track with this process, but I'd like to take each and every question, but if we stop for every slide, we may be here for a long time. So if you do have a question, please wait till the very end of this presentation. I promise I'll get to each and every one of your questions, and I will only answer the most common one, and that is this being recorded? Yes, it is. We record all of our webinars, so if you have to leave early, or if you're having technical difficulties and can't hear or see the screen properly, don't worry, we will send you a link to this recording, okay? So once again, we have a good crowd here today. If you happen to join us late, please wait to ask any questions. All right, with that said, let's begin. And we're going to be talking about strategy 4. This is the strategy that I learned some 4 decades ago. It was one of the first techniques that my mentors taught me when they saw how much I was struggling. And I have been using it in some capacity now for over 40 years. So let me share with you some of the highlights of this particular method. It's for virtually all traders, beginners to advanced. So I don't care if you've been trading 60 years or you're in charge of some hedge fund, or if you just started trading yesterday. It makes no difference. Everyone will get the same basic format in our course, and then we work out from there. If you're a conservative trader, we teach you how to trade it conservatively. If you're an aggressive trader that likes to trade 10, 20 times a day, we teach you how to do that, okay? Now, it was designed for traders looking to catch quick momentum moves, because let's face it, when I worked on the floor, we were basically holding positions for just a couple of minutes at a time. So that's what we originally used it for, but we have in our course, have ways in which to hold trades for days, weeks, even months if you'd like, okay? So it's up to you. Now, its intensity level, if 1 were the most intense of all strategies you've ever traded, where you virtually could not leave your screen, and 3 was the most relaxed, where you could just enter an order and walk away, it's right in the middle. It's a very moderate number 2. It only uses 1 indicator, and guess what? I'm going to share with you what that is today. Strategy 4, the beauty of this strategy is that it can virtually be applied to any time frame, any direction, and any market. So I don't, if I happen to show a bias of stock examples today, I don't want you to think that it only works on stocks. It can work on currency pairs. It will work on intraday futures. It can work on the Bitcoin. It makes no difference. Commodities, okay? That's the beauty of it. We have students that trade commodities. They trade coffee with strategy 4. We also have intraday currency pair traders that trade this. We also have swing traders that trade weekly bars on stocks. Makes no difference. Wherever you see this specific pattern, strategy 4 can be applied. Now, if you're a member of our course, you will receive educational automatic buy and sell indications. Now, I say educational because we only want to educate you as your mentor. So we don't want you to turn this into a crutch when you see an up green arrow or a down red arrow, and then forget about why you're buying and selling. Once again, you've gone back to the old standard of relying on someone or something to tell you how to trade. That goes entirely against our philosophy. So what we've done is provided our members with up and down arrows indications so that you can check your work. In other words, I teach you the rules to this strategy, and I want you to look at a chart and see if you can identify a valid buy or sell signal, and then all you have to do is apply the indicators to see if you're in line. So they're for educational purposes only. Our edge here is consistency. Some of the signals will work, some won't. That's perfectly okay. Don't let anyone ever tell you that you should never lose. I lose. The beauty is that I have a method that's able to recoup my losses rather quickly. So that's all that matters. I had a losing trade today right off the bat, and I made it back in the next 2 trades. So it makes no difference whether you lose. What is the difference is if you have a method that's able to recoup those losses, okay? And hopefully sooner than later. So that's what consistency is, a 2-step forward, 1-step back approach, where the 1 step back are the small losses that are perfectly admissible, and the 2-step forward are your method being able to get back in sync with the market, okay? So these are the highlights of this particular strategy. Once again, if you have any questions later on, let's ask them at the very end of today's class. Let's begin. I want to show you this simple process. And as I stated, when I first started teaching a couple of decades ago, I used to teach live classes in my office, and there were still a number of students that had a difficulty. Many students weren't trained in trading this way. They were always trained by looking at the news or just by feeling, by discretion. They think it's going to go up, they buy. They think it's going to go down, they sell. But they weren't really trained by looking and following a set of rules. So I saw over the years how some people take to it and other people have difficulty in trading this way. So what we did is we made it extremely simple, following a 4-step process with our new platform, the PTS Primo Charts. And let me show you how simple it is to apply this to your trading with our new platform, okay? We're going to go step by step, and you'll see just how simple this process can be. Okay, step 1. Obviously, you're going to choose the market you're interested in buying. Now, we're looking at buy setups, and in a few moments we'll look at sell setups. But remember, when I say choose the market, we're not being facetious here. We literally have to choose because strategy 4 can be applied to anything. Okay, if you like to trade tick charts on the E-mini S&P futures, well, okay, that's the market you're going to be looking at. And then you want to bring up the chart. So let's look here at the examples that we're going to be having on our platform here. Now remember, once again, you can do this on any platform. You can do this on any charting platform you currently have. But let me show you how simple it is on our new PTS Primo Charting Platform. Okay, so here's the chart. We're looking at that example once again in NTAP. All right, step number 2. Now what we want to do is click on the buy-sell line in the upper green strategy tab. This is our tool that is so powerful and so simple. Now, a lot of people will say, well, you know, Steve, I don't have the buy-sell line on my platform, so I don't know how to use it. Well, yes, you do, because the buy-sell line is simply the 50-period simple moving average. That's all it is. But let me show you how well it works on our platform. All right, so you go to the upper green strategy tab here, and you see the buy-sell line circled in red. You just click on that tab, and it'll give you different options. Now, here's the first option, with just the 50-period moving average, because that's what it is. But there are different ways to view it. That's the simplicity behind our platform. Let's look at the last option, which is the fluid. We'll click that on, and automatically it changes the background of the screen. Now, this line you see here separating the colors is the 50-period simple moving average. But look how powerful this is, and it makes it really clear to decipher what we're going to do once we paint the back of the screen for you. Because if price has the blue background, that means you're in the buy zone. And that ultimately means that anything you do should only be from a buying point of view. You should never be selling in the buy zone. I don't care what strategy you use. I don't care if it's based on the news, fundamental news, or if it's based on the tides of the ocean. It makes no difference, but you will have a higher level of consistency if you're only buying in the buy zone. Now, conversely, you see the bottom level there is kind of a reddish orange. Well, that is the sell zone. So if price is in the sell zone, you should only be applying sell strategies. Now, this doesn't mean you buy at the market and sell at the market. You still have to apply some structure. You have to apply a strategy or system, something. But this is just telling you what side of the fence you should be on. Trust me, I've been using this for 40 years, and this one tool has not only helped me to make money, but it's saved me from losing a lot of money, because I wasn't selling while the market was continuing to go higher and higher and higher. And I wasn't buying while the market continued to go lower and lower and lower. Let me show you how powerful this is, okay? So now that we know the zones, now what are we looking for? Well, let's go to step number 3. We are only going to trade signals to the strategy 4 that have a steep upward sloping buy-sell line. All right, so if we look at the chart again, we see here that at the beginning of this chart, we're kind of going sideways to flat. But at this point right here, we start to have that nice upward slope. So this is telling us there is momentum. There is movement at this point. Even though the stock is still basically going sideways, there is a lot of momentum behind that. So this is the point, the fertile ground, where we want to apply our strategy. Okay? Now, how do we apply the strategy? Well, this is where we want to be buying, right? Where the slope is strongest to the upside. The next thing is we just click on strategy 4 in the green upper strategy tab. All right, so we go back to the green upper strategy tab, click on strategy 4. We'll have the drop down menu appear. All we want to do is check our work by clicking on signal arrow. And once we do that, guess what? There's a buy signal right here, well before the stock is taken off, and we're in the nice fertile area here where the slope is going higher. So do you see how simple this is? We're not having to pay and rely on somebody in a chat room or a trading room to tell us what to do. You're going to learn this strategy in our course. You know exactly what it's based off of, what the rules are. You have the market telling you that you're in the buy zone because it's above the 50-period simple moving average and the slope is headed higher. So the market, not some guy on TV or not some fundamental news that's discretionary, but the market is telling you, I want to go higher. Here's some structure to jump on board. And that's it. That's how simple trading can be once you throw away all this useless stuff that I'm sure you've been using this last year that really hasn't helped you, right? I mean, if it was really helping you, you most likely wouldn't be here in this webinar. And trust me, I'm not saying this facetiously because I was there myself. I used to go to all these webinars and, well, actually, there weren't webinars then. They were seminars because we didn't have an internet 40 years ago. But I would go to all the seminars because I was struggling tremendously because the things I had been taught that are supposed to work, support and resistance, volume, fundamental news, listening to all the trading gurus, Fibonacci resistance and support lines, well, they weren't making me a dime. You know, they'd work every once in a while, but then I'd give it all back. So my mentors taught me these methods 40 years ago, and they've really sustained me, okay? And let me show you how simple it is looking at the other way. But before that, here was a sell signal. Now this met all the rules, as you see here. It was valid because the drop-down menu generated a red arrow. But why wouldn't we have taken this trade? Well, because we have to have a strong downward slope in order to go short. Was the slope of the buy-sell line moving downward? Actually, no, it's going upward to sideways. So this is the beauty, once again, of the market fine-tuning your trades, and you don't have to rely on someone or something else to tell you how to trade. You can listen to the market and know what it wants to do and give yourself a better chance for winning on the trade. All right, let's look at if we wanted to go short, okay? Once again, choose the market you're interested in. This time we'll look at DKS. Now, someone looking at this would say, well, obviously, Steve, you should have been short. I mean, yeah, I would have loved to have been short too, but this is in hindsight. How would I have known, especially up here, to short this stock? Or at least if I were holding a position to get out, you know, no one told me to get out then. Well, that's not really true. The market was telling us. How was the market telling us? Well, we click on the buy-sell line in the upper green strategy tab. There's the buy-sell line. We click that on. We have the drop-down menu. Once again, we'll click on Fluid. And as we can see here, there was no price ever in the buy zone. Price has always been in the sell zone. Do you see how simple this tool is, but how powerful it is? So automatically we know whether we should be buying or selling by what the background color is. It's that simple. It's that easy. Now, sure, you could do this on any platform and just apply 50-period simple moving average. But remember, once again, I taught that to my beginning students 20 years ago, and they still had trouble understanding that process. So here, by color coding the back of your screen, now you can see it much easier, and it's a lot easier to follow. So we know in advance that we were in the sell zone for months here, okay? So we go to step 3. We're only going to trade the signals that have a very steep downward sloping buy-sell line. And as we can see, once again, the chart, well, they've been sloping downward. The buy-sell line has been sloping downward strongly for a long time, almost at a 45-degree angle. So this is telling us well in advance that there's a lot of movement to the downside. So you see how we're getting all of our information from the market? We're not having to rely on a trading room or a chat room where, in my opinion, no one knows any better than anyone else. The market's telling you what it's going to do. Okay? Now, someone looking at this would say, well, yeah, Steve, but could we have gotten short up here at this top level, you know, before it fell out of bed? Well, let's check strategy number 4. Let's click on the upper green strategy tab. Now, remember, we're only doing this because you don't know the rules. Excuse me, I can't share the rules of this strategy with you. But if you were part of the course, you would know the rules, and you would know just how to inevitably spot a valid signal. But you would still click on that tab to make sure that you were right, okay, especially while you're learning the process. Click on the Strategy 4 tab, click on Signal Arrow, and guess what? 2 very profitable signals right at the top before that nice gap down, and then more signals generated along the way. Okay, so that's the process. You see how simple it is, this four-step process with our platform. Now, you can do the same process on any platform. I'm not just saying that it's only on the PTS Primo charts, but remember, you're not going to have the back of the screen colored. You'll just have a moving average line. You'll have to look to see the slope. You'll also have to know the process of what's behind the strategy. And you won't be able to check your work unless you have the course, which is the up and down arrows to validate your signals. Okay, so let's look at CSCO, Cisco, okay? Had a very nice gap opening here. Most people say, boy, I would have loved to have caught that. How would I have known? Well, we apply the buy-sell line. We see we have a really nice upward slope starting about a month ago. So the market was telling us a month ago there's a lot of momentum to the upside. All we have to do is apply strategy 4, and guess what? Weeks or days before that nice upward move, there were buy signals generated. Now, obviously, there was a sell signal generated back here. Did we take it? Absolutely not. In order to take it, this slope would have had to be going down strongly, but it's going sideways. So that would have told you, most likely, that's not going to be a profitable trade, so you might want to bypass that one. But this one worked out okay, and so did this one. How about HI? Once again, kind of doing nothing until these days here. It just had a tremendous move to the upside. How could we have taken advantage of that? We apply the buy-sell line, the fluid feature, and we see going back another month in advance, the slope started to turn higher. 2 buy signals, or I should say 4 buy signals, one here, and nothing much happened here. And this is what we talk about consistency. If you wanted to trade this really conservatively, you would have gotten in and out rather quickly. But let's say you wanted to hold on for longer gains. Well, most likely you would have been stopped out with a small minor loss. That's okay. Remember I said it's perfectly okay to lose every once in a while. Because what did the strategy do? Well, if you had been stopped out of this with a small loss because it never really went up that much, well, guess what? It gave you another chance. It gave you actually 3 more chances to get back in. And you would have recouped that loss and made a lot more. How about HRB? Okay. Looking in hindsight, this stock has been bad. How could we have taken advantage of that? We apply the buy-sell line, and even though at the very top, the buy-sell line wasn't really curling to the downside, but it started to at this level here. So where were our signals? Well, there was one signal here, another one here. This one may have been resulted in a small loss, but you would have made it back here, and you would have made it back again here. This is what we talk about when we say 2 steps forward, 1 step back. You will have some small losses every once in a while. They don't go your way right directly once you initiate the trade. But if you hang in there, you use proper money management, proper position sizing, which we teach you in the course, most likely you'll be able to make it back. All right, SQ went up dramatically, okay? October, November, coming into December. How could we have taken advantage of the strong up move? Well, we see what the buy-sell line is. And even though we were oscillating back here, most of the time the majority of bars were above. So how could we have taken advantage of buy signals here? We add strategy 4, and we see that we've been getting buy signals all along while we're going higher. Excuse me. Now we had 2 sell signals, but once again, which direction was the buy-sell line going? It was actually going up. So we would not have taken those. The market was telling us that even though this meets the pattern, it meets the structure, I have a lot of wind at my sails to the upside. So why would you want to sell if most of the momentum is going to the upside? So you would have bypassed the sells and taken the buy signals. How about NTES? Another kind of sideways market and then a big up move. We add the buy-sell line, and we see that only at this point did the buy-sell line start to move up. This entire time, even though price was in the buy mode, look at the buy-sell line. It's kind of headed lower. So if we add the strategy, we see that we even had a buy signal right here. Most likely we wouldn't have taken that. It would have turned out to be a really nice setup because a week later we had a gap open, and then another week or 2 later, another gap to the upside. But that's okay. This is the beauty of our strategies, because if you miss one, there's usually another one right around the corner. If you waited a couple more weeks, guess what? You could have purchased right here before, a day or 2 before that big upward move. Now, did we have any idea that they were going to have a big upward move? No, because it's not required to follow any news or any of the inner workings of the company. We don't require our students to do that. You can if you'd like to, but why overcomplicate things? Why? We always say don't overcomplicate it, because just about 80 to 90% of everything you need to know is in the chart in front of you. So why would you, care about what the earnings or what some news is? Because the market's already telling you. In fact, it was telling us a month in advance to buy just by being in the blue or buy zone. Okay, HSIC kind of looks like it's kind of going sideways, but makes these stair steps. Now, the way most traders trade is when they see a sharp downward move and kind of a double bottom or a support, they say, well, this is where we're making a double bottom. You got to buy here, right? So you buy on the breakout and then whoops. And now at this point, you're holding on and you say, well, you know what? The chat room I go to says that this is really the bottom here. All the institutions really love this. And this low didn't confirm this low. So we have a divergence and the volume has really picked up to the upside. So I'm going to buy some more. I'm going to double up. So you buy some more and then whoops. You see how every decision I made was based off an outside source, either what the institutions are doing, what the volume is doing, what some guy in a chat room is telling me to do. But I wasn't listening to the source. I wasn't listening to the market. Now, what was the market telling me that entire time? Well, I had the buy-sell line. The entire time, the market's been telling me not to buy because it's in the sell zone. So why would I listen to anybody? Why would I listen to any institution and think that they have an idea of what's going on? Why not just listen to the market? It's a lot cheaper and it's a lot more reliable in my 40 years of trading. That's the only thing I listen to. I stopped listening to news or to trading rooms 40 years ago. I don't watch financial news networks on TV or listen to anything. It's silly. I've been trading for 40 years not using those, so it's not required. The only thing we do require you is to learn how to listen to the market, and that's what our buy-sell line does. So it's in the sell zone the entire time. Let's see if there are any sell signals generated. Well, you think you could have taken advantage of this with strategy number 4? Now, obviously, some were better than others. This was a good sell signal. These two weren't. So you would have lost a couple bucks here and made it all back here. Lost a little here, made it all back here, made it all back here. 2 steps forward, 1 step back. All right, WMT, once again, a real strong upward move. How could we have taken advantage of this? We applied the buy-sell line, and right here where this stock gapped up and was in the buy zone, that's when we started to get this nice accelerated upward move in the buy-sell line. So we want to be buying somewhere in this zone right here. Did strategy 4 generate any signals? Well, yeah, we generated 2 really nice ones right here, a good 2-3 weeks before that strong upward move. And once again, a sell signal was generated in the sell zone. It was a valid sell signal. It met all the requirements. But what was the buy-sell line telling us? Telling us most likely you don't want to take that trade because the momentum is to the upside. Now, a lot of people are always telling me, always saying, Steve, listen, I know you don't listen to news, and I know none of your strategies or methods require it. But you know what? I've been trained off news, and I can't break the umbilical cord. I have to follow news. I like watching it. I like getting ideas. And listen, that's fine. Remember, once again, it's not my job to tell you how to trade. I'm just trying to get you to be a consistent trader. If you want to watch news, go ahead. I'm not telling you not to. But in my opinion, the market usually tells you in advance. So if you don't want to complicate or overclutter your thinking, it's not required. But if you feel you must watch the news, go ahead. But it's been my experience that oftentimes the market will let you know in advance. For example, this came out about a month ago, a little over a month ago in Yahoo Finance. Buffalo Wild Wings soars 25% because of takeover talks, okay? The stock is reportedly looking, Roark Capital looking to buy Buffalo Wild Wings, BWLD, for $2.3 billion. Shares of the chicken wings and sports bar franchise surged nearly a quarter of their value on the news, okay? So this is where people say, Steve, see, this is why the news is important. You got to follow this stuff because it tells you the direction of the market, and that's where the big money is, okay? Well, let's look at the chart. This is when the news came out, right? Now, most likely, if you had purchased off that news, you would have lost money because it was a day late and $1 short. Wouldn't you have liked to purchase somewhere down here? Well, let's see what the market told us rather than relying on the news. We apply the process, the buy-sell line, and we've been in the, for the most part, the majority of the bars have been in the buy zone for a good month or two. But the slope is going lower, so we're not really going to do anything until we get to this point right here. The beginning of November, we start to move much higher. So let's click on strategy 4. Let's see if there was a buy signal. Guess what? right at the bottom of that pullback. Strategy 4 generated a buy signal a good week, almost 2 weeks prior to that news event. How did we do it? Do I secretly follow all the news events and I'm not telling you, but I'm really into fundamental news and I studied the company and I have a source that was telling me there was going to be a buyout, and so I automatically generated a buy signal? Wouldn't that be silly of me to do? I mean, that would be so much hard work. I'd have to follow every company in the world and have some secret source telling me what's going on in the company. I mean, that's unfortunately, that's the way most people like to trade, or they think that's what you have to do. You don't need to do that. You don't need to overcomplicate your trading. If you want to follow the news, by all means, go ahead. Is it required? Absolutely not. Take it from someone who made markets in 60 stocks, who had to know the earnings potential of every stock, who had to know what the inner workings of the company were, okay? And then once my mentor said, there's no need for you to follow that, I stopped looking at it. And guess what? My trading got better. So we're not going to tell you how to trade. We're just trying to show you it's a lot easier this way. All right, GE. Everyone knows GE has been just a steady downtrend for a while. Looking in hindsight, it's been telling you, the market has been telling you since April not to buy me. Not some guy at some desk or some institution, but the market, GE, has been saying, don't buy me. I'm in the sell zone. Please save your money. If you're going to do anything, look to sell. So all we have to do is click on the sell tab, and you think you could have done okay selling these signals here. You could have purchased options, or at least if you were long, you could have used one of these sell signals to get out. Because if this pattern in the market is telling you it's going lower, you don't really want to be long that stock. If we look at RH, another example of kind of going higher, going sideways, and then a big strong up move, how could we have taken advantage of that? We had the buy-sell line, and we see we have a really nice strong upward slope, and a week before that gap up, the market told us it wanted to go higher. 2 buy signals, okay? So traders, it's been my experience, traders love to be victims. We always love to say, gosh, you know, that stock, RH, jumped up. How would I, how come I never get involved in stocks like that? How come? And we love to cry in our beer and feel like, poor me, I never get those big calls. Well, do you think maybe it's because what you're following is not consistent? If you learn how to listen to the market, it's telling you this stuff all the time. It's always showing opportunities to you. But we've been trained not to listen to it. We listen to stuff that really isn't consistent. Once you learn how to listen to the market, your trading becomes a lot more consistent. BBBY, once again in hindsight, going back towards the beginning of 2017, look how the stock has just gone straight down. Most people would have been buying the entire way down. Oh, it's so oversold. The investment research that I subscribe to tells me that you've got to buy this. It's never been this oversold. It's so undervalued, right? What is the market telling you? It's been telling you since the beginning of the year, don't buy me. Even though we have a couple of bars above and then we go right back below again. So the market is the only thing you should be listening to. It's been screaming, please do not buy me. I'm in the sell zone. And we've had a very strong downward slope since January. Look at all the opportunities you had to sell. Some better than others, obviously. Some would have been still losers, but that's okay. Do you think if you still kept in the game, you would have done all right? Now, remember, you could purchase options, puts. You don't have to actually trade stock if you don't want to. There was one buy signal generated. It was the one bar that was closing above the buy-sell line. But look at the slope. The slope was almost going at a 45-degree angle. So this was the market telling you that most likely that won't be a profitable trade. So you would have bypassed on that. BABA, okay, going straight up until the end of November. Guess what? It told us this way back in February that it wanted to go higher by being in the buy zone. There was no need to look at its earnings or what the company's doing. It was telling us a long time ago that it's going higher. So all we have to do is apply some structure to it in the form of strategy number 4 and look at all the ways we could have taken advantage of that. Once again, we realize expensive stock, you could have purchased options. Are they all winners? No. There are some that are here that are better than others, some that would have been minor losses, but more than enough to recoup those losses. Okay, let's look at an entirely different market because I know I've kind of had a little bias here for stocks because the majority of our students do trade stocks, but like myself, I like to trade the E-mini S&P futures. So Let's look at an hourly chart of the E-mini, all right? A little bit more noise because there's a lot more backing and filling, but the same process can be applied here. We apply the buy-sell line, we see the strong upward slope, we click on the strategy number 4 tab, and it automatically tells us the buy setups, okay? Now, obviously, this one would have been a loss, but the next one would have made it back, and so on. We can also apply this to the forex markets, the currency pairs, okay? The Canadian dollar headed lower, much lower coming into the fall. Well, yes, because it told us months in advance in the summer not to buy me on a daily graph, okay? So don't buy it. There's no reason you have to look at economic conditions or what's going on with the dollar. It's telling you. The Canadian dollar was telling us, do not buy me, okay? This was in June of this year. And you could have bypassed all of this, or if you're more aggressive, well, you could have used these signals to go short. Each and every one of these signals would have been profitable. Okay, so let's go and recap before we answer any of your questions. Remember, here's the simple process. Choose your market. And the only reason we say that is because Strategy 4 can be applied to any market. I've just showed you intraday E-mini charts. I've showed you, currency pairs, stocks. I didn't show you Bitcoin. I also didn't show you commodities, but trust me, it works just as well. We have some people, some students around the world that are applying this to Bitcoin. Step number 2, click on the buy-sell line. Remember, the buy-sell line is the 50-period moving average. You can do that right away on whatever platform you're looking at. But you're not going to get that background that automatically tells you the buy zone and the sell zone. It's a lot easier, and so many students have told us, boy, this makes it simple. All I know is that if the bars have a blue background, I know that I'm only going to be a buyer. You know, a lot of times you'll bypass that thin 50-period simple moving average, and it'll say, boy, this looks like a great head and shoulders, or my goodness, the stochastics say this is so oversold, I've got to buy it, and you totally forget where price is in relation to that buy-sell line. So it's a lot easier to stay in sync with the overall market if you apply it with the color background, the fluid category. Step 3, well, as we said, click on the fluid feature. This is going to tell you the buy and the sell zone, but it's also going to show you the momentum behind that fluid feature. If you have a strong upward slope, that's what you're looking for to go long. If you want to sell and price is in the sell zone, you need a strong downward slope. If price is kind of going flat, you'll still get some good signals now and then, but in the beginning, while you're learning this, I would stay away from flatliners in the 50 period. And then lastly, click on Strategy 4. Remember, this is as an educational tool. Once you become a member of our course, you will know automatically where a signal has been generated. You'll just know by looking at the chart. I share with you this pattern that has stood the test of time. But in order to check your work, I mean, you can't call me up 24/7 and say, Steve, is this a valid signal? Because I have too many students around the world, around the country. I can't answer each and every one of your questions. So we provided you with a way to check your work on the platform, clicking on the Strategy 4 tab, and it will share with you if you have a valid signal or not. Now, once again, you can do this on any platform, but it makes it so simple. This process is so easy. It takes just a matter of moments to apply on our new PTS Primo charts. This is where we've made it so simple for you. Remember, when I first started teaching this process 20 years ago, students still had a difficult time because, as I stated, they'd forget about the moving average. Someone would tell them, you've got to short this, it's too overbought, and they'd get all caught up in that. Once you see the features and everything involved with the PTS Primo charts, it makes it so much easier for you to stay in tune with the process. Okay, so here's our special attendee discount we have for all of you attending today, and this is actually our end of year discount as well. We're going to be offering you a great package with strategy number 4. You're going to get instant course access, detailed instruction. It's an online video course, 15 videos, and these are all online, so you can access them whenever you want. You don't have to wait for something to be shipped to you. We're going to teach you all the entry points, all the exit points, and all the stop placement that you can apply to this. We're going to supply you with the educational signal alerts, which means that this includes the add-ons, so you can apply them to any platform you like. If you have NinjaTrader, if you have TradeStation, MT4, Metastock, most of the major platforms you can apply this to. Thinkorswim as well. We have a way to use it with that. And so it works on all markets and most of the platforms as well. But we're going to share with you today 3 ways to become a course member. We're going to give you different options. All right, let's start with option number 1. This is our basic package for $6.95. This will include all 15 of the educational online videos with complete entry and exit rules to Strategy 4. So you're basically learning the course online, and you're just getting the rules and getting the mentorship through me. Okay, but for $300 more, you're going to get the educational course, but we're going to include the automatic signals to add on to your platform. So once again, if you have NinjaTrader, if you have MT4, if you have Metastock, if you have TradeStation, Thinkorswim, you will be able to use our automatic signal add-ons for your platform. But we're also throwing in option number 3, which in my opinion is the best because it includes 3 months free of the PTS Primo Platform scanner for the same price, for $9.95. So you're going to get all that included, but you're going to get this on our platform. And you're going to see how simple this is. So you won't have to say, well, okay, how do I check my work again? Wow, I forgot about the buy-sell line because I don't have that color bar. So I just see the regular charts, and I forgot to look at the 50-period moving average, or I forgot to plot it. It's all going to be right there for you, 1 click away. Now, we're not going to just stop there by giving you 3 months. We're not just saying, well, you just have Strategy 4. We're also going to include some other things with option 3. We're going to give you, obviously, strategy number 4, plus you're going to get all the rules. You're going to learn and know the strategy like the back of your hand. We're also going to include short-term trend identifiers. All right, these are totally different. The buy-sell line is more of an overall trend identifier. We're going to share with you some short-term trend identifiers for finding out what the market's doing on the shorter term. We're also showing and going to be revealing 4 different trading techniques that you can apply with any market. Okay, it doesn't have to apply Strategy 4. These are trading techniques in and of themselves. They're totally separate from Strategy number 4. We're also going to include a scanner, so you can scan for nightly signals. I'll talk about that in just a second. I'll go over in detail. Now, we know we have a technical bias, so if you like to tinker under the hood, if you like to construct your own methods or research with technical indicators, we're supplying you with over 90 of the most basic and prominent technical indicators. But once again, we're not telling you have to trade this way. If you like to look at news, well, we're going to supply you with free Bloomberg TV. We have a special media page that has live Bloomberg TV on the platform. So anytime you want to watch a news event come out, some economic report, it will be there live while you're looking at your charts. And lastly, this comes with great personalized tech support. If for any time you can't pick up a chart or have something download or look and see if there's a buy or sell signal generated, you're not sure how to implement it, don't worry. Our tech support will contact you, and usually the problems are resolved within a matter of minutes, okay? Now remember, I talked about the signal scanner. We're really proud of this, and I want to show you how simple it is because I know not everyone is able to be in front of your computer 24/7. A lot of you have to work. Many of you may be watching this at work right now. So here's a great way to find out what the signals are for the next day. All right, so we're trading Strategy 4. Let me show you the process, okay? You would once again click on the Strategy 4 green tab in the upper green tab, the Strategy green tab section, and now you'd click on Scan, okay? Once you do that, another window will appear, okay? Let's say we're looking at Apple. Well, now we have the scanner appear next to it, okay? All you do, you'll get this blank page. You click on Load Symbols, as you see right here. Excuse me, I jumped a little bit too ahead. Now, once you click on Load Symbols, you can choose from the symbols we provide you with, the lists such as the top ETFs, S&P 500, the NASDAQ 100, currency pairs. It's up to you. Or you can make your own list. You know, say you like to watch a basket of stocks that you like to trade, okay? Once you click that on, in a matter of seconds, they will appear, okay, in this spreadsheet. Next thing you do is you click on Scan. And the scanner will automatically scan for the Strategy 4 signals for the next day and all the stocks of the basket you're looking at. And you'll see on the far right either a green or a red bar here. So what does this mean? Well, if you see a green bar, that means there's a buy signal in the corresponding stock, as we have here in Boeing. If you see a red bar, that means that's a sell signal in the corresponding stock. So all you have to do is click on these bars and the chart will appear. You can look at it in a matter of moments. This whole process takes less than a minute each night. It's that simple. So you'll know every night where the Strategy 4 setups are for the next day or where they were for the next morning. And you can, once again, click them onto your platform, and then you'll see, once you apply the arrows, where the signals were and where the current ones are as well. So this is all included with option number 3. That's my recommendation for what you'd be doing. So for the same price as option number 2, we're throwing in 3 months of the PTS Primo charts, real-time, free. That's a $1,900 value plus all these extra things. It's a lot. It's so much information that I've accumulated in 40 years so that you can take your trading to the next level. We did this same promotion about 3 or 4 months ago when we first had the platform out, and I would say that the majority of people that went with option number 3 have stayed with us because they're so excited and they really love how we've made things simple. And that's what it should be. Trading should be simple. You shouldn't have to be sitting there trying to calculate what the earnings estimates are or what this meant by some guy saying it on a chat room. Does he mean for me to buy here, to sell here? You should know for yourself where you want to buy, where you want to sell, and then you should decide for yourself if you want to take the trade or not. You should never have anyone decide your own trading for you. So strategy number 4 course, you can start at $695, which is just the vanilla course by itself. You can go to $985, which includes the signal, the add-ons for your platform, or you can stay at $995 but get 3 months of the PTS Primo charts free, which includes all those other extras. Okay, here's how to take advantage of this. Contact my sister site, Pro Trader Strategies. They're the PTS and PTS Primo Charting Platform. I developed this with them because we really want to make it simple for you. You can email them at trading@protraderstrategies.com. Call them directly at 310-598-6677. Or if you see the link at the very bottom, that's where it will take you to the sign-up page where you can decide for yourself, and there's more information. It's not a live link because it's on a static PowerPoint presentation, but the live link is in the chat box on the far right-hand corner. So if you want more information or to go to that sign-up page, all you have to do is click on that live link. Now, if you have any problem at all, I would really suggest contacting Pro Trader Strategies by calling them directly. They have personal trading consultants manning the phones right now. There's no obligation. If you're still not sure you want to do this, if you're on the sidelines, they can answer any question for you, and they will be happy to work with you with those prices. Okay, so I would really strongly recommend calling them just to get a better idea about pricing at 310-598-6677. Okay, and once again, that chat box, or I should say that link is in the chat box on the far right if you want to go to that page. Now, we've got about 10 or 15 minutes left. I promised you I would go and answer any question you have, so I'll leave this information here. Thanks for bearing with me. Let's see, the first question is Mark. He says, is the buy-sell line based purely on the 50-period moving average or the closing price? Well, it's based on the closing price of the last 50 bars. In other words, most simple moving averages are based on the closing price of the moving bars. So all we've done is just apply a background color to that 50-period moving average. But, I mean, trust me, after doing this for so long and trying to teach people, we've made it so much more easier for people to see it on our platform with a color background. And we also have 3 other ways to view it as well. I just shared with you one way. We also have a background feature, which is entirely different from the fluid feature. And we also have a color bar feature on the very bottom. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to apply it so that it makes it easy for you, okay? Is it true that buy signals have to have some type of a pullback prior to the signal? No, it's not necessarily true. It can be, but that's the beauty of strategy number 4. It's a pullback / continuation strategy. So many times you will see a pullback and it'll generate a great strategy 4 setup. But oftentimes you'll see a kind of a pause in a trend, and a lot of people say, well, this must be the top. We've gone up straight up and it looks like we're rolling over. Now it hasn't pulled back yet, but it's kind of just in a continuation formation, just kind of going sideways, and another strategy will be generated. Well, that's not considered a pullback. That's kind of a more sideways continuation. So it can be a pullback, but it doesn't have to be, okay? Joanne asks, if you're brand new at this, would these videos be a good starting point? Yes, they would. In fact, that's a very good point. The reason why we're focusing on strategy 4 is because of its simplicity, Joanne. Now, I started with strategy 4, even though I had been trading for a good 5 years prior to learning all this information. trust me, I had learned all the stuff that I was supposed to, support and resistance, Fibonacci, Elliott wave, what the institutions were doing. I knew all the fundamental news, and none of it worked for me. The first thing my mentors taught me was the buy-sell line, and the second thing was strategy number 4. And that's what we're teaching you in this course. We haven't complicated it. We have other sophisticated ways of trading, which if you've heard me talk about before are the PET-D, also strategy 5, strategy 8, but we're not going to get into that because they're a little bit more advanced. But strategy 4 is very simple. And here's one thing I didn't mention as well. If and when you become a member of our courses, whatever option you decide to take, you also have a mentoring correspondence with yours truly. So you can always contact me via email and I'll answer any of your questions. So you're learning from someone who's used this for 40 years, not from someone who came up with a system overnight and's been trading it for 3 or 5 years, who has their own blog. This is someone who's been trading this for 40 years. So I can answer just about any question you can. Trust me, I've gone over every question for the last 40 years on all these things, and I've asked them myself. So I know what a lot of students are wondering about. I can be there with you every step of the way. And we always recommend our students start out with strategy 4 because it's the most basic and it's the most consistent, okay? Nero is asking about if you purchase strategy number 4, do you get this updated version? Most likely, but you know what? I wouldn't quote me on that because once again, Pro Trader Strategies handles all that. They handle all the course pricing and the discounting. So contact them. Once again, I'm sure they'd be happy to work for you. If you're a returning customer, they would, it's in our best interest to accommodate you in any way we can. So yes, I would definitely give them a call. People are asking if you can apply the PET-D to this for better results. Yes, you can. That's our dynamic duo package. But once again, I don't want to go too involved in that because that's not what it's included in this, and that's a little bit more advanced. So yes, you can. But the PET-D can be applied to many of our techniques and methods, but we're not discounting that or talking about that today. Mark saying, Steve, I'm now up to 15,000 since I learned strategy 4. Wow, Mark, thank you. This is unsolicited, Mark. Let's see, Mark is saying he's up to 15,000 since I learned strategy 4 in July this year. Thanks much. The market seems stagnant here now. Would step to the sidelines until Christmas season is over. Well, Mark, once again, I'm not telling you how to trade. Mark knows from our courses that we just provide you with the information. We steer you in the right direction that makes you feel comfortable. But ultimately, you've got to make your own decision. Now, I know a number of students who love to trade during the holidays, and they do okay because that fits their needs. Personally, I don't trade during the holidays, or I trade very lightly. Like I traded this morning, and that's probably all I'll trade today. Because I have found that when I trade with the limited time I have to, I can't really sit and watch because I'll take an hour or two to stop for a presentation, then I have to answer emails, that I really can't get a good feel, and oftentimes a lot of the volatility is left. And so most likely I'll just, just sparingly take setups here and there. But that's the way I like to trade. Would I say that that's the way you have to trade? No. If you want to trade all day long, go ahead. Remember, you're in charge. That's our credo. We want to make you in charge of the trading. I'm not going to trade for you. I'm going to show you what I feel is the right direction in which to go in. But ultimately, look, you've made 15,000 since the summer. That's great. Why would I feel any need to tell you what to do? So I think you're on the right track. So this is an unsolicited testimonial. Thank you, Mark, and congratulations. I wish you more continued success in 2018. Yeah, I mean, you have to take the course in order to learn this. People are asking, so these are course members. Yes, because, I'm sure a lot of people have tried to duplicate what I've done in the last 40 years, but most of our people are course members, and they've maybe taken different packages. But in my opinion, I would recommend package number 3 because it makes it so much easier, and you'll see and have all the different things that are available on the platform. Now, sure, if you have, let's say you have TradeStation, you'll still be able to apply the up and down arrows, and you'll still be able to watch the online videos, but you won't get that background color. You won't get that the tab where it automatically clicks on the buy and sell arrows. It's a lot different using a different platform. We've made it so simple where it's just one click away. So that way you really can do this process and learn it so quickly. And I'll be there with you every step of the way, regardless of what option you decide to take. Now, as we close up here, I just want to say this is our last presentation for the year. You know, I want to thank, I see some old faces here in our class. Once again, Mark joined us. Thank you, Mark. He's been with us for since the summer. But I see a lot of new faces. And trust me, I know what it's like to struggle. I struggled for the first 2 years of my trading, and I didn't think I was going to be trading much longer because I couldn't make a dime, and I was slowly but surely losing money. So I was lucky enough to have some mentors that changed my way of thinking and my way of trading, that turned everything around for me. And that's why I'm still here 40 years ago. So that's what I want to do with you. I want to be able, not to say that, you know, the way some other webinars do where, oh, I'm going to make you 1,000% by next year. You know, I don't believe in that, and I would never say that. But what I want to do is make you a consistent trader so that hopefully the same thing that happened to me, you'll be able to do. You can be trading 10, 20, 30, 40 years down the road, because that's really the meaning of success. Success is not having some master system that promises the world, and maybe it does make you, you know, 10 or 20 grand in a few months. But trust me, I've known so many traders that have traded that way. When I was on the floor, guys made tons of money in a relatively short time and then gave it all back. I don't mean, you know, just gave back 5,000. I mean maybe 500,000 or maybe even 1 million. And so that's not trading, okay? Sure, if you can make tons of money, but if you give it back, what's the good in that? The secret to success is longevity. That's what I've learned. And longevity is a method, a technique, or training or mentoring that will sustain you, so that you're not just going to have one good year and then you give it all back, so that you'll be having 10, 20, 30, 40 years down the road where that you're able to trade over and over with consistency. Sure, you'll have small losses along the way. That's fine. I'm sure Mark had some small losses. Not every trade was a winner, but it's about consistency, and that's what we're trying to instill in you. So if you've been having trouble, we're at the end of the year, you owe it to yourself to start 2018 in the right direction. This is a great, great offer here. It's a great discount, plus we're offering a lot of great stuff. If you're still having questions, contact Pro Trader Strategies. They'll be able to work with you. They'll answer any more of your questions if you have another platform you want to stay with. But it's my recommendation is that you should probably go with the platform, because we designed it specifically for you, okay? This is what I would have loved to have had some 40 years ago when I was learning. So everything we share with you today, you'll learn in the course. You'll learn the entire rules to the strategy. You'll learn how important the buy-sell line, especially how important that slope is. You'll learn when to take setups, when not to take setups. We'll tell you where to exit if you want to get in and out quickly. We'll tell you where to exit if you want to stay in longer. We'll show you different ways to place your stop. And then you can decide what works best for you, what makes you feel the most comfortable. In my opinion, this is the only way one becomes a consistent trader. Not by following someone else's system that works for them, but doesn't make you feel comfortable, you know? Let's say you want to trade 20 times a day. Well, what if you have some master system and then you find out it only generates one signal a month? Well, you probably won't like it. You won't feel comfortable, and you'll try and change it to generate more, and then you'll most likely lose. Or let's say you only like to trade once a week, and this system you buy for $10,000 generates 20 trades a day, okay? Well, you won't be comfortable trading that way. So you have to find something that works for you. So all of our methods, all of our techniques are designed to do that. They're not systems. They're just simply high probability areas for entry, for exit, for stop placement. And then we let you work with them to design them to meet your needs. Okay, so if you want to learn from someone who's been doing this for 4 decades now and who's still here, I invite you to come on board. We've given you 3 great options. You saw the examples today. And I can't think of a better way to start the year off than in the right direction, for feeling confident about your trading for the very first time, okay? So in conclusion, I want to say, you know, if you have any questions, feel free. There's no obligation. Contact Pro Trader Strategies, but take advantage of this deal right away before it disappears and before prices go up in the new year, okay? I'll be there with you every step of the way as your mentor. If you have any questions, you can always contact me and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. All right, thank you so much for attending today. I wish you all the best of luck. I wish you all a happy new year, but most of all, I look forward to all of you becoming students of mine in the Strategy 4 course, along with the PTS Primo Charting Platform. Thank you so much. Happy New Year. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.